Good afternoon. For a moment there I had to think, was it morning or afternoon? Where am I? It's been so busy the last 3 days. Anyhow, social anxiety and how it cripples us. I'm Linda, I'm a mental health mama, and today we're going to examine and identify certain aspects of social anxiety. Social anxiety cripples 1 in 3 people in the world. And for the most part, it feels better. For the most part, when it's crippling, other people around the person who has social anxiety don't even know it. So if you're someone who's got social anxiety, you may find that you even have trouble interacting on Facebook, because you may find that everything that I'm going to go through today, you will identify with how it feels and how it is crippling to you emotionally, to the point where you don't even feel that you can press like on a Facebook post that you like. You don't feel that you can comment on someone's post, because as you see what we go through, you'll begin to understand the feelings that are happening for you. Now, I'm going to go through this because last week when I began to outline the social anxiety from the behavioural perspective, I had people message me saying, oh my goodness, I didn't realise there was a name for it. Okay, so I'm going to put our table up today, our list of what's happening in social anxiety. Okay, so for our first part of social anxiety, so the first part of our list here, just let me I wanted to grab so some of these are the terms that describe the struggle that you're going through. Okay, and these ones down here, this list, are situations that may be difficult for you as a person, okay? Now remember, we do this and we give this information out, or I do this, I give this information out, because it is so important that people who have been hidden behind closed doors for so long are able to begin to understand what's happening for them. They're able to begin to understand that it's normal for the situation they're in. They begin to relate to that we can do something about this and we can be free of it, okay? That's just part of it, but it's a start, okay? We are wired to be social creatures, but with everything that's going on down this side here, okay, we begin to feel like we're not, and we begin to feel like loneliness is our only outlet for the rest of our life, and it's just not true. Okay, it's not the truth, and it's not how we want you to live the rest of your life either. Okay, now as you look through the list, if you identify with any and you'd like more information, you are welcome to private message me, and you are also welcome to comment down below. It is hard when you have social anxiety, and I go through these examples of what happens with social anxiety. You'll understand why it's so hard to press like or to comment. Okay? Now, some of the things that you can do is when you're out socially, you find yourself averting your eyes. You'll feel like everyone is watching you, even though logically you may know that that's not true, that everybody's going on about their own life. You may literally feel like everybody's watching you, okay? Afraid, and how it comes out in life can look like you're afraid to make telephone calls. I know personally people who have been afraid to make telephone calls, and we have worked through what has to happen to make that telephone call together. And I'm telling you, the fear is very real, and it's not just a stress, I'll get over it. Sometimes I want to, I'm probably not allowed to say I want to slap somebody who says just get over it, but that's how passionate I feel about people who are crippled by this very real mental health challenge, okay? And when other people come along and say, oh, they could just get over it, it's not the truth, okay? If we could get over it, we would, but we're strong people. But it takes work and time. And I've worked with people who have a hard time making telephone calls, and we do it together. You don't ever do this alone. And I think that's really something to grab hold of, is that coming through social anxiety is not something that we do alone, all right? Because it's in the aloneness that we remain crippled, okay? So we've got to do this together. Yeah, Serena, that's right. I hear you. I really do. It's hard. When you've got social anxiety, it's very hard to make phone calls. Okay. Another situation. So imagine you're going to work and you've got a work meeting and you've got to stand up and give your part of the group's accountability. So you have to get up and say, this is what happened in your department this week, or this is how your work is going. Even down, if you're not a manager, you've just got to get up and, give an accountability of where you're at with your work. If you have to do this once a month, the week before the month date comes around, you can go through all sorts of things like not being able to sleep, making it's just so crippling that you not only won't sleep, but you won't eat. You won't notice things that are happening around you. It's all there in the list. It really is an emotional stress. And, look, I can so relate to the difficulty getting thoughts together and saying what you mean. In the past, I tell you what, that just used to get stuck in my throat. I couldn't talk. I literally couldn't talk, okay? Hey, Sarah. Yeah, it is crippling. And it's a silent crippling because people can't talk about it. Isn't that ironic that, it's so crippling that 1 in 3 people are hidden behind closed doors, spending years being lonely because they can't talk about it, because they don't understand or identify that it's a very real mental health challenge. Sorry, I'm just reading up with my list. My memory is, after spending the weekend working, volunteering, my memory is challenging today. But also, I identify with this, it's crippling to the point where you're so afraid that you're going to make a mess of things that you can't take action. Oh my goodness. Hands up everybody who can relate to that. We over-exaggerate in our mind as well, even though we don't know we're over-exaggerating, because we think we're just keeping ourselves safe. So even if we're going, okay, I'm going to do this, next thing you know, our brain kicks in and goes, it's safety factor, and next thing we know, we're over-exaggerating what will happen. And it's not over-exaggerating, I'll just get over it. We've got to start to feel comfortable with what we're doing, okay? Also, one of the things that I did to begin overcoming it was start believing the people who were around me who were very kind, okay? And they were actually giving me compliments, and because of the social anxiety, I couldn't hear them. And then one day I sat down and I went, it's about time I started listening, okay? And started reinforcing their positive affirmations to me inside of me. Yeah. Hashtag catastrophizing. It is. And I think the hardest part about social anxiety, sorry, I didn't realise I didn't turn my phone off. Okay, and also I could relate to this example too, going to uni and avoiding the first day, because you just know that your lecturers or your teachers, if you go to TAFE, wherever it is that you're going, and even into a new work, you just know that teachers are going to make you introduce yourself to everybody. And when I first went and did my counselling course, the first day there, which was just an introductory day to the course, so I thought, it actually turned out to be, I actually thought I was just going in for the exam, entrance exam, and it turned out the whole morning was group activities. Well, by lunchtime, migraine, stress, and the migraine was so severe, I was lucky I could drive home, like this close to not being able to drive, the nausea, etc. Because the stress is just so phenomenal meeting other people. And it's not that I think those people are going to be bad. It's just what's happening on the inside of me is just so overwhelming. We're afraid of judgment, afraid of being criticised, and afraid of just stuffing up. That was my biggest fear, was stuffing up. I'm afraid of stuffing up. And, we never like to go out in public. What if something goes wrong? And it's not easy because it's not logical, it's emotional. All of this comes from the emotional. And it can come into our life in various ways. So it can come into your life if you've had trauma in your life. It can come into your life if you've come out of abusive relationships. It can come into your life unexpectedly, especially if you've ever had to deal with a narcissist, okay? It will come into your life. Mainly because when you go home, they want you to walk on eggshells. So then when you go out in public, you can't just shake stuff that's hurting you so deep. It's not going to go away overnight. But the thing is, when we work on it, it will happen. Yep, exactly, Serena. That's exactly right. It's the bottom of the iceberg. So it's not what we're showing the world. It's what's happening underneath. And we need to be able to become aware of what's happening underneath. And when I look at this list, I look at the list and I go, hang on. Anyhow, somehow I managed to do it before. We look at the list over here, and if you run down that list, being criticised by people for me was very, very crippling, because I came out of a toxic family where all forms of abuse were present. I was devastated if I got criticised. So I wasn't angry at you because you criticised me. I was angry at myself because I didn't do something right. Now, how crippling is that to you internally, that you walk around in life worried about doing something wrong? And I can tell you it was crippling, and it did keep me inside to the point where, loneliness just felt like the norm. And it's not the norm. Now I'm at the point where I go out and I can't share it with you, but I had a photo of yesterday's crowd, which was absolutely massive. I'm there talking to people, not a problem, okay? But I want you to know it was a process, it took time, and it's something that we have to do together, not alone, okay? We cannot continue to believe that we're going to get through this alone, because we're not. One of the things I teach my people in our mental health tribe is that the hardest thing you'll do when you come into group initially is press the like button and like somebody's post. Because I've been on the other end of that 10 years ago when I first started on Facebook, and I felt like my whole world was going to cave in, that people would see me through my computer. Like, it's not rational, but it's there, the feeling is there. I thought I'd get criticised for hitting the like button. I noticed my thoughts were, am I doing the right thing? Am I liking the wrong thing? You get to the point where you don't even feel safe to have, where you don't even feel safe to have an opinion, okay? Which, when you think of all the trolls and bullies and there's another word for it, keyboard gangsters, they're called, who have no problem having an opinion, and they're not kind people, yet we're the kindest people you can come across who will do anything for you. And yet we have trouble even hitting the like button, the love button, let alone commenting on what's going on before us, okay? So we have a road to travel. Today is only the first part of social anxiety. My challenge to you, or your goal for this week, is if you can print out what I'll put it in the comments below so it's easier to print out, because you won't print it off the screen. Just work with one, okay, this week. Listen to your thoughts, feel your emotions. And actually, oftentimes we have to feel our emotions in order to know what our thoughts are that are happening around that scenario. Get your journal out and write it down what's happening each day, just on one thing. Because if we do one thing, for the week, and we do it consistently, we get to the iceberg underneath and what's happening. We get to break away the layers. Okay. Now tomorrow we're going to look more into the belief of what's happening underneath, like what's the core for us that is happening, and the belief that's keeping us terrified, and hopefully break it down some more for you. The more we can break it down and the more we can examine what's happening for us individually, the healthier we can become. I'm offering you also, I'll put the Mental Health Tribe down below. It's a group with free of charge people all around the world who drop in. We're family to each other and we help each other, and we're all at different places of our mental health challenges, and we help each other come through it. We encourage, we laugh. Sometimes we laugh. We've all got warped sense of humour, I'm sure. We're all different, but the thing is, in there you can learn that you're safe to have an opinion that's different to anybody else. Okay? You are safe to have that first opinion and say, this is what's happening for me, or I don't agree with that. I mean, I have admins that admin with me, and I can say, I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that, and we will have a conversation, because that's how healthy relationships are done. We don't have to agree, okay? What we do have to be is kind to ourselves and kind to each other, okay? And that's our first step up and out of this social anxiety. Now, I ask at the end that if you feel comfortable, that you share these videos, because mental health challenges are silent and people keep them silent, and if they stay silent too long, they become deadly, okay? We don't ever know who we help by hitting share. I share it all around social media platforms because I want people to be able to get their inner kindness out. And life isn't about knowing who we help. It's about being able to help others that we don't even know, that we impact. And then one day somebody comes back to you and says, thank you. Without you starting that conversation or sharing that video or being brave, I never would have known that this list down here is what's happening to me in my life. I would have never known that I could come out of isolation, that I could get help, that the world could open up for me again. Sorry, I'm actually just about crying. Because I feel that strongly about it, that nobody should be left alone to handle any of this on their own. And from our hearts, it costs us nothing to share and be kind to somebody who's hurting and we don't even know. That's the hard part, and that's why I do what I do, because we need to be able to help others that don't even know these symptoms, sorry, I'm going on, and can learn and understand that there are ways to come up and out of this, okay? I love you girls dearly. Thanks for coming in. Thanks to all those who will watch on replay. #replay, and I'm happy always to answer questions. It's important. It is so, so important that we get this information out there. Bless you all today. We'll be back, same back channel tomorrow, to look into it a bit more, have some more information so that you can add it to your one thing that you've picked from the list today, so that you can equip yourself some more. All right, blessings and dreams, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow and being with you girls. All right, bye for now.